Welcome back, David Land, Indy Pro 2000 driver, Braden Eves, breaking down what was, I think, a fantastic race here. Race 2 at Road America, kind of an unprecedented doubleheader. I figure we just might as well cut to the chase. A fantastic, exciting duel between Pato Award for Aero McLaren SP and Felix Rosenqvist for Ganassi. A different Ganassi driver today. We were asking the question at the beginning of the weekend, who could beat Scott Dixon? Several drivers beat Scott Dixon today, but it came down to a tire choice. It was an interesting call for Aero McLaren SP to go with scuffed reds. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think firstly we need to address that this was a completely different race than yesterday was.
100%.
Pato looked great the entire race, and man, a couple laps different, and he would have hung on to that. But
well, we had been talking, off air this weekend. Something you had specifically mentioned to me was that Pato Award's driving style fits this circuit. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, he's just a very aggressive driving style. Very aggressive on the racing, obviously, but he's a late breaker, and his driving style is really just hammering out every single driving the car on the absolute edge. And around here, there's a lot of really high speed and kind of sketchy corners that you have to be able to deliver in that circumstance. So Pato, I expected him to be a lot stronger here than he was at IMS or the Oval. And, I mean, look at how he did. He did fantastic.
Now, did that aggression play against him a little bit here? Because I remember seeing him a couple times, especially through this final corner here. We're standing just outside of 14. He was way outside, really looked like he was pushing the car. He really was struggling behind Conor Daly. And all the while, Rosenqvist was just smooth operator, to use an F1 term. How much do you think Conor Daly is the lap car in front of Pato Award and kind of moving in between him, getting in front of him, getting behind him? How much do you think that upset him in terms of holding him up where Rosenqvist could catch him?
Oh, I think it cost him the race. Conor was right behind him, and I saw all of a sudden Pato, he was making just a couple mistakes, and you can tell he was pushing, trying to get away from Conor. And I think that's just a little bit of overdriving. Wore the rear tires off, and then ended up, I'm not sure if he let him by necessarily, but he didn't put much of a contest up for Conor, and pulled down to the inside, and Conor passed. But as soon as Conor passed, he just got a little bit air wash, and suddenly he was right in the territory of Rosenqvist, so that he could capitalize before the checkered. So I think without Conor, that race would have ended up differently.
Interesting point. So let's talk a little bit about the top 6, because in P2, obviously, that was Award. But third place, Alexander Rossi. He's finally back on form.
Yeah, Rossi really turned it around, and I think we're going to see him a lot stronger. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to have anything for Colton on a regular basis. Colton looked really strong, and he's been, today was the first day where I was really like, man, those consistent results are adding up, and now I'm like, he's going to be a contender at the end of the season, I think.
Colton moved within 2 race wins, and that sounds like a huge gap, but what we were looking at this weekend, he cut the gap to Dixon today. And yeah, I think, again, his strategy of staying consistent, finishing races, and like you said, once he turns it on, there's a lot of strong tracks for Colton Herta coming up. I kind of have earmarked, a doubleheader at Laguna Seca. He dominated that race last year. Portland, he was very fast there as well. Yeah, I think he is absolutely a driver that can contend for the championship. Of course, he's going to need a little help from Dixon having some bad luck. Marcus Ericsson had a good day today. Both of the Ganassi cars, when Dixon was sitting in 12th, suddenly you've got both of the Ganassi cars up there. This is an unbelievable season for Ganassi. They are just so absolutely dominant right now. People are saying, well, they're not dominating the races, but they're winning. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're winning, you're dominating.
Yeah, absolutely. And the conversation has shifted. It was just, Scott Dixon could win on a lot of the teams in the paddock, and I think we can all agree on that. And now that Felix Rosenqvist goes in and gets a sweep for Ganassi, it changes the conversation. And now you have 2, if not 3 cars in Marcus Ericsson that could potentially win races this year. And the form that they're in, those guys have got to be fired up. And, man, it's going to be hard to stop them this year.
The big controversy, I think, was kind of at the start of the race. Will Power, we might need to change his name to Demolition Man. The first one, I admit, absolutely, I don't think it was his fault. Ultimately, it looked like somebody cleared Ryan Hunter-Reay, and obviously Ryan Hunter-Reay was not clear, ended up in the wall. Second one, a little bit less 50-50, I would say, where he got into Graham Rahal, and honestly, really scary moment where Rahal came across the track and caught the wall at a really ugly angle. They might have to look at that when they come here next year, just from a safety standpoint. And then on the immediate restart, he goes Buffalo Boy across the grass over here, and that was really exciting. Do you ever have a moment like that where you just seem to have a really bad day to start off, where nothing seems to go right? You seem to hit every car on the racetrack. I mean, what is that? How does that attitude affect you as a race car driver?
Yeah, he just ended up in bad situations, and it comes off the pace, because the better pace you have, the further up front you are. Those guys aren't being too aggressive, you know. They're more conservative, and they're trying to save their stuff for the late in the race. So it was definitely just one of those races where one thing happens and it sets them back, and then another thing happens. So yeah,
and you start trying too hard, trying to overcome the previous mistakes, right?
Exactly.
And that's kind of what we saw there. So another kind of key story from this race seems to be the youth movement. We saw 3 young guns up at the front at the start of this race: Pato Award, Colton Herta, and Alex Palou. Palou fell off the pace this race, but obviously he got a podium earlier this weekend. Now, obviously, I don't want to start overstating. Wow, that was a bug. Overstating the significance of these young drivers, because we still have a 40-something-year-old in the points lead and having won 3 of the 4 races this year. But it seems like the shift is happening. Who do you think of the young drivers? Maybe we'll eliminate Colton from that, because it seems like he's really turned the corner already. Which of the young drivers, after watching this weekend, do you think are really going to be impressive later on this season?
I think Aero McLaren SP has come on strong as a team. I think our drivers are going to only get better from this point on. Oliver has showed really good pace, and you know, I don't know what happened this weekend. With Pato so fast, I can't help myself from believing that there was probably something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Rinus VK had a great result at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
I think all of them are just really good drivers, and on any weekend, any of them can be up front. And the road to Indy has gotten so competitive the last few years, that the drivers that are coming up are competitive in IndyCar immediately. And anyone that can compete at the highest level in Road to Indy has just shown that it transfers right over into IndyCar. So I think any of them can be the one that steps up. It's completely unpredictable.
Yeah, and that's interesting you mentioned Aero McLaren SP. They really have had a great coming out the last 2 weeks. Obviously, Askew was very fast. Unfortunate circumstances took him out of the race at Indianapolis, but Award was very fast here. I thought we were going to sell some more orange T-shirts by him winning. But, yeah, I mean, I think that they made the right choice. I think a lot of people were questioning whether ditching Hinchcliffe for 2 unproven, largely unproven drivers. It looks like right now that was the right choice, because Pato Award was really in a league of his own most of the day. You know, a bad strategy call, some lap traffic. Ultimately, things didn't go his way. That's IndyCar racing. It was an exciting finish. We've got 2 races in Iowa, oval tracks. Who do you kind of look at when we go to the ovals, especially at a doubleheader? Heat's going to be an issue. Who do you think?
At the ovals, teams are always a big thing. You see the drivers clump together on the teams, people a lot closer. So, you know, I would expect the same teams that have always been fast on the ovals to be fast. You have Penske, Ganassi are going to be the favorites, and then you might have 1 or 2 others that really step up unpredictably.
So we're saying maybe, well, I'm going to go the opposite of what you're saying. And I found this weekend that's usually the wrong move, but we need a little bit of a discussion here. I think the Andretti cars are going to be strong. I think you look at a guy, I think you look at Herta, I think you look at Hunter-Reay, he's going to be motivated after crashing on lap 1 here, and then you look at Alexander Rossi, of course, who's maybe gotten his mojo back.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Thank you guys so much for watching our Road America coverage. It's so great to be back at the track, isn't it? And, of course, he's driving as well. Check him out in the Road to Indy, Indy Pro 2000, and follow him on Twitter. The link will be in the description. Thank you, guys. We'll see you in the next video. And, again, it's a beautiful day here at Road America.